after opting out of the traditional nationwide broadcast commemorating the anniversary of June 12 Democracy Day. President Bola Tinubu arrived at the National Assembly to address a joint session of the Parliament. The session was part of activities lined up to celebrate Nigeria's democracy with the theme 26 years of uninterrupted democratic governance, an appreciation of the National Assembly's central role in Nigeria's democratic evolution. The event also marks the historic June 12, 1993 presidential election, widely regarded as Nigeria's freest and fairest poll. The session was presided over by the President of the Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio, and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas. In his opening address, Senator Akpabio recounted the historic importance of June 12, which he described as the crucible of Nigeria's democratic rebirth.
Nigeria did not just lose an election. Nigeria lost her innocence. And across the country, the silence of shock was broken by the roar of resistance. The people rose, angry students marched, journalists spoke, mothers wailed, workers downed their tools, fathers stood before tanks, and young men and women whose only crime was believing in democracy laid down their lives. May their souls rest in peace. They died because they loved Nigeria. They loved Nigeria enough to fight for her soul. This was not just a rejection of oppression, but the beginning of a national reawakening, signifying a rebirth as well as a reckoning. The intro of Chief Moshood Abiola campaign song captured the spirit of that day. Nigeria on the march again. Indeed, Nigeria was on the march towards democracy. But that cruel announcement turned the march for democracy into a march for justice. Many, including Your Excellency, stood tall in those days of darkness, while others chose silence and others chose compromise. You chose to exhibit courage. Rare courage. At great personal cost, NADECO, which you were part of, helped sustain the flame of liberty when it was most at risk of going out, even to say a word. So as we mark this day, let us remember those who bled so we could vote, those who took risks so we could speak, those who were buried so that freedom might rise. Let us also pay tribute to all those who played pivotal roles in Nigeria's democratic transition. This year's theme, 26 years of democracy, renewing our commitment to national development, is not a slogan. It is a call to purpose, a reminder that democracy is not an end, but a means to national transformation.
Standing before the lawmakers, President Tinubu began his address by reflecting on the significance of June 12 as a symbol of Nigeria's democratic restoration and paid tribute to Chief MKO Abiola and other heroes.
As I entered this grand edifice built from the sweat and toil of our democratic yearning, my heart stirred. It was a blend of accomplishment and resolve. I felt a sense of collective accomplishment when I realized how far we had come as a nation. Since 1999, democracy has risen from the ashes and destitution of military rule to take its original rightful place as the only mode of governance of resilient and beloved people. With every footstep I took through this hallowed hall, up to the moment I now stand before you, I remember that we still have so much and a lot for that to go. To achieve this progress, we sought an elective office to lead this nation forward. Thus, I hereby affirm before you, our merciful and almighty God, and all men, and resolve to do all that I could do to safeguard and build our democracy as the divine hand intends for us to do. Since 2018, we have celebrated Democracy Day on this day to commemorate the sacrifices of the men and women who fought to restore democratic governance to Nigeria. Let me pay tribute to my predecessor, former President Muhammadu Buhari, for reaching back into history to rectify a national misdeed by making June 12 Democracy Day and by officially acknowledging Chief MKO Abiola and his running mate Babagana Kingibe as the victors and the duly elected president and vice president, respectively, of Nigeria after June 12, 1993 election. Year by year, election after election, every time we debate instead of battle, we discuss instead of fight, and argue instead of destroy. We preserve the institution of democracy. More importantly, we weave the culture of democracy into very fabric of our nation. We thank God for this. Whilst Chief MKO Abiola is June 12th central figure, we must not forget the long list of those who equally deserve to be called heroes of democracy. We must celebrate the courage of Alhaja Kudirat Abiola and Pa Arfe Rewani, both of whom were murdered by agents of military repression. We also remember the many civil rights activists, journalists, and politicians imprisoned, exiled, tossed aside, tortured, and beaten by the military regime. We remember Chief Anthony Enoro, Commodore Dan Suleiman, Chief Abraham Adesanya, Ayo Adebanjo, Chief Gani Fawayemi, Balarabe Musa, Ganiu Daudu, the journalist Bagoda Kato, and Commodore Ndibusi Kanu. I mention these names not to exclude or degrade the profound contribution of anyone else, but to illustrate through these few heroes the universality of our pursuit of democracy. The struggle was never the province of any one group or section of the country. It was pan-Nigeria in its conception, and it will even be more pan-Nigeria as we strive to perfect it.
President Tinubu commended the National Assembly for defending democracy during the third-term saga in 2006 and the 2010 doctrine of necessity.
The National Assembly has acted to uphold democratic ideas at every critical moment in our nation's history. In 2006, the Fifth National Assembly protected our democracy against unseemly third-term bid that would have ripped our constitution apart. In 2010, the National Assembly, through the doctrine of necessity, opened the door for then Vice President Goodluck Jonathan to become the acting president following the illness of his predecessor. Even under the military, the National Assembly tried to protect our democracy after General Abacha took over power on November 17, 1993, and dissolved the National Assembly. Some of us, led by Senator Ame Ebute, the Senate President of the Third Republic, defied the general and his goons, and we reconvened old Parliament building in Lagos and declare that regime illegal. We had the courage to do so, the determination to resuscitate democracy, but we were jailed for our defiance. On behalf of a grateful nation, I commend your invaluable role in lawmaking, oversight, and constituency representation.
The president recalled his standing as the last opposition governor in the Southwest in 2003, emphasizing his commitment to multi-party democracy and allaying the fear of a one-party state in the country.
I plead for your indulgence so that I may put a terrible rumor to bed. To those who ring the alarm that the APC is intent on a one-party state, I offer you a most personal promise. While your alarm may be as a result of their panic, it rings an error. At no time in the past, nor any instance in the present, and at no future junction, shall I view the notion of one-party state as good for Nigeria. I've never attempted to alter any political party registration with INEC. Equally, my dear friends and colleagues, we cannot blame anybody seeking to bail out of a sinking ship, even without a life jacket. Look at my political history. I will be the last person to advocate such a scheme. In year 2003, when the then governing party tried to sweep the nation clean of political opposition through plot and manipulation, I was the last progressive governor standing in my region. In all their numbers and the false grandeur, they boasted of ruling, not only governing Nigeria, for the next half century or more. Where are they now? Yet I stood alone. My allies had been induced into defeat. My adversary held all the cards that mortal man could carry. Even with all of that, they could not control my destiny and could not control our national destiny, because fate is written from the above. A greater power did not want Nigeria to become one-party state back then. Nigeria will not become such a state now. The failed effort to create a one-party state placed progressive political party forces on a trajectory to form the APC. It put me on the trajectory which has brought me before you today. I dare not search a favor to any political adversary by repeating the same mistake of political overreach. A one-party state is not in the oven, nor shall it ever be. That said, we would be guilty of political malpractice if we close our door on those from other parties who now seek to join the APC. I sincerely welcome our party's newest members from Delta and Akwa Ibom states, led by Governor Sheriff Oboweri and Pastor Umo Eno and other national members of this respected National Assembly. You are all welcome to the progressive fold. Nobody should close the door. Political parties fearful of members leaving may be better served by examining their internal processes and affairs rather than fearfully conjuring up demons that do not exist. For me, I would not say try your best to put your house in order. I will not help you to do so either. It is indeed a pleasure to witness you in such a disarray.
On your Monday we shall stand. On your Monday we shall stand.
President Tinubu went on to review his administration's achievements in his first 2 years in office, to include inflation control and foreign exchange stability.
One area in which democracy calls us to work together, whether in legislative or executive branch, whether in this or other political parties, is that the economy and social development of this country must not be compromised. On assuming office, my team and I moved to reform our ailing economy. We introduced fundamental reforms to correct structural imbalances that prevented maximum growth. We are already seeing results. The GDP grew by 3.4% in 2024, with Q4 hitting 4.6%, the highest quarter of growth in over a decade. Inflation is easing gradually, steadying the price of food staples like rice and beans. Our net foreign reserve have increased fivefold, and the Naira exchange rate has stabilized. Our balance of payment position is positive. Our sovereign credit rating is improving, and we continue to promote oil and non-oil gas export. State do not need to go about borrowing to pay salaries anymore. In less than 1 year, over 100,000 Nigerians, including 35,000 civil servants, have benefited from affordable consumer credit through the Nigerian Consumer Credit Corporation, enabling them to purchase vehicles and improve their well-being. This July, we will launch a bold new initiative to empower 400,000 young Nigerians, including youth corpers, with consumer credit.
He stressed his administration's commitment to empowering the youth through investment in education and skill acquisition.
We are committed to giving more opportunities to young people through job creation and skill development. Through such programs as Nigeria Education Fund, NEL Fund, we are investing in education and in the greater future of our country, vocational training, apprenticeship, and entrepreneurship to ensure that our youth are job ready and future ready. In addition, we have embarked on an ambitious project to lay fiber optic cables across the nation, a transformative step towards bridging the digital divide and fostering greater connectivity. This initiative promises not only to enhance the speedy and reality of internet access, but also to revolutionize how business operates, how students learn, and how community stays connected. By extending this critical infrastructure, we are empowering entrepreneurs, enabling digital education, and providing the tools for our youth to compete in a globalized economy. Our Nigerian First policy will further enhance progress and will consolidate market-driven growth. The improved economic performance is encouraging and validates the soundness of our policy measures.
The president said his administration's huge investments in infrastructure like roads, rail, ports, and power sectors are geared towards supporting industrial development of the country.
Is fully committed to boosting the economy and productive base through investment in critical infrastructure, roads, expansion of port operations, rail, and power. We are creating a new environment in which industry and manufacturing can thrive. Next year, Credit Corp and Murphy as stakeholders, VOI will play a significant role in transforming the nation's industrial landscape and reducing corruption.
President Tinubu acknowledged the sacrifice of the armed forces and called for national support and appreciation as the administration is making gains in the war against insecurity through interagency cooperation and use of technology.
National security is the foundation of peace and progress. We have intensified security operations to reclaim communities from criminals and terrorists. We are better at coordinating intelligence and interagency cooperation. It has proved well for us. Our highways are safer now, and we invest in technology and training to secure every inch of this country. Let's take this opportunity to thank the men and women of our armed forces for their bravery in service of the nation, their selfless dedication to protecting our sovereignty and ensuring the safety of citizens to serve an inspiration to us all. As we celebrate the progress of our democracy, we must not forget the pivotal role they play in safeguarding our freedom. For their courage and commitment, they deserve not only our gratitude, but also our continued support, prayers, and recognition.
President Tinubu used the occasion to confer posthumous and national honors on 69 notable figures in Nigeria's pro-democracy struggle and granted full presidential pardons to Ken Saro-Wiwa and members of the Ogoni Nine.
It is right to honor those who have made sacrifices in the past braving all odds and the guns to ensure we have a regime of democracy in our country. In this light, I announce the conferment of posthumous honors of CAFR on Kudirat Abiola, the heroine of our June 12th struggle. I also confer posthumous honor on Sheikh Musa Yar'Adua, GCFR, and Professor Humphrey Nwosu, CON, I also confer posthumous national honor on Ken Saro-Wiwa, CON. He was the leader of Goni 9. I shall also be exercising my prerogative of mercy under the prerogative of mercy to grant these national heroes a full pardon. Together with other names that shall be announced later in the conjunction with the National Council of State.
As the country marches on in its democratic journey, the president called for tolerance and support for free speech to sustain the growth.
While malicious slander and libel should not go unattended, no one should bear the brunt of injustice for merely writing a bad report about me or call me names. Democracy requires a fair degree of tolerance for harsh words and stinging insults, particularly when they are pained because of their losses. Call me any name. I'm not here to make you happy politically. And I will still call upon democracy to defend your right to do so.
The event attracted dignitaries such as state governors, ministers, top government officials, as well as current and former principal officers of the National Assembly.